Welcome to the Art Colony, a podcast about art and art history in Provincetown. My name is Gaston Lacombe. I was out shopping at the grocery store yesterday, and there were a lot of people there, but it was quiet. I met a friend there who said the same thing. It's so nice and quiet. That's because we are now in the off-season here in Provincetown. It's just us, and it's glorious.
Yeah.
We love all of our summer guests and visitors. We really do love you, but you are really loud. All of the tens of thousands of you, you are really loud. So don't blame us, the year-round residents of Provincetown, for indulging in the calm of the off-season. For me, this is also the time of the year when I can go do things I've put aside for the last few months. I went on a hike in the Provinceland Dunes this week, seeking inspiration for new paintings. And for the full 3 hours I was out there, I did not see a single other human being. I did see a deer, and I saw 2 fox, and I ate about 1 million wild cranberries.
Nice.
It's also the time of the year when I can visit with my friends. All summer long, we see each other on the street running from one thing to another, and we shout out at each other, "Hey, let's grab a coffee soon." But we never do, until the off-season, that is. And our guest today is one of those friends that I crossed a dozen times on the street this summer, and we promised each other to hang out soon, and finally we are doing it on my podcast.
Yay. Perfect.
So welcome today to the Art Colony as part of my Artist at Work series, Beth Faherty. Hi, Beth.
Hey, love. How you doing?
Good. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you too.
So tell us and tell our listeners, who is Beth Faherty?
I'm an artist in Provincetown, and I'm from North Carolina, but I lived sort of accidentally on Nantucket Island before I got here for about 10 years, a little bit more, and the only cheap rental on the whole island. But anyway, I got to Provincetown right before COVID, and I am an artist who loves bright colors and joyful paintings. I paint about connection. I think just seasons and joy just play a lot of role in my work. I'm just now transitioning out of my residency, my 3-year residency from the Commons, which was absolutely. I have so much gratitude.
So you said you are originally from North Carolina.
Yep.
So tell us about the journey that brought you from North Carolina to Provincetown.
Just North Carolina had run its course for me. There's a vibrant, wonderful scene around Chapel Hill, Durham, Raleigh, and around the universities there. But if you go 30 miles outside of town, you know why everything is how it is. It was really lucky for me. I was in between things and definitely was more of a writer at that point. And I wrote a short story. And just by chance, I sent it to a friend of my mom's. It was just one of those things where sometimes I think, what if I didn't do that? Like, what if it was an absolute chance? But anyway, in the middle of the night, I just sent it to her. I knew we were kindred souls on some levels, but I don't think I knew the extent of it. And long story short, she got in touch with me right away. And I had been working at Whole Foods, and I was just in between. I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and I wasn't happy in North Carolina for a variety of reasons. So anyway, she just said, I have a little shack on Nantucket Island. Go there for the winter and write. You're a writer. You should be writing. It was pretty crazy, and so I went there, and it was one of the only shacks kind of on the edge of the island there in Quidnet, and a 1970 Carmen Ghia that sometimes started, sometimes didn't. Absolutely, and just desolate. It was like November. And I didn't really know what I had gotten myself into. I thought Nantucket Island, sweet. I had no idea it was going to be absolutely desolate and I would be the only soul there. And it would be tremendous as far as a beauty and a breakdown kind of thing. But anyway, when the daffodils started popping back up, I was like, I don't think this is when we leave. I made that my place with freelance writing and just little things, just hustles here and there, and had a real life. And it was just like in many places, just that rental wasn't sustainable. And my heart was broken, but it ended up being the best thing ever. So Provincetown organically happened after that. And everything has been different since.
You just came for a visit?
I came for a visit because Provincetown was where I felt like I could exhale. And there were always things in surrounding areas. I didn't realize until I had lived in Provincetown for a while just how much I needed to feel good in my own skin, if that makes sense. I knew in the most bare ways that I could exhale here. So I kind of came to get grounded for a little minute, and then just things really worked out in really lovely ways. I had come in my 20s to Provincetown, but those were already excursions. I didn't even really know there were dunes. um,
And they're beautiful.
and it's exquisite. Yes, I mean, I fall in
Yeah.
love every single day here. But anyway, everything worked out really beautifully. And for a minute, I had a shack on the pier, and that was a collection of weeks there, which was enough time for me to realize I needed a studio, not to be necessarily in a shack on the pier. So around then, I applied for a spot at the Commons.
So let's step back a little bit. You said you came here as a writer.
Yeah.
So how did you get, because now I know you as a painter.
Yes.
So how did you get from being a writer to being a painter?
That's a beautiful question. I think that the most honest answer with that is I got really sick of my own words. I quit drinking finally on Nantucket after that had been an absolute. My joke with people is whenever I said I was going to quit drinking, nobody was like, "Why?" But anyway, I just got sick of words. I got sick of my words being heartbreaking. I got sick of being um, sort of the tunnel vision of being trapped in a paragraph. I can write a beautiful paragraph, but I don't, it's not like painting where I can lose hours of time and I'm in a state of wonder. It's almost childlike, but it's absolutely exquisite. And the only times I was able to do that writing, I was hurting myself, if that makes sense. I'm sure I could revisit it and it would be a different animal now. I'm 11 years away from alcohol, which is fucking awesome. But at the time, it wasn't making me happy. And I have always loved color. I've always expressed myself with color. And my twin brother was the artist in the family, brilliant, genius. And that, for many reasons, I left that to be his. He had some real struggles with some things and a beautiful soul. But he was the genius with art. And for me, art was a salve, a balm. I've been making and drawing and illustrating and cartooning since I was a little kid. So wherever I am, I'm sketching something.
Well, that was my next question, was painting something you were doing on the side while you were
Yeah.
also writing?
Yeah.
Was there a moment, was there a piece of art, was there a second in your life where you said, "Okay, I'm switching now"? What is it that, when did this happen?
Wow. I believe I lost my twin brother. And I realized I had been not, he had struggled with schizophrenia and many things. And it was, he just didn't get to do a lot of normal, not normal, but just rites of passage things that we do as people. And I had always felt somehow kind of bad about that or guilty about that, even though they were dumb, but they were, just whether they be social or whatever, he just wasn't able to, um, through no fault of his own, follow through that. So anyway, there was a newfound freedom, and also it was a way to communicate with him because I was devastated. So around that time on Nantucket Island, I had been really lonely, and I found the animal shelter there, and that's where I found my people. And so I sort of decided, since I was grieving, well, people are foolish. I'm not going to be entangled with all this. Animals, great. We don't even deserve them. They're brilliant. I'm going to spend all my time with animals. I'm going to plant a garden, and now I can paint without feeling guilty. Is the wrong word, but I wanted that. That had always been Tim's, and now I recognize that was, yeah. With time, as you get older, you realize um, limitations you were setting for yourself were yours alone. But anyway, there was a tremendous amount of freedom in that. And of course, I had been, like every artist and everybody that visits the Cape, just uh, smitten with the light here. And I wish I wasn't so stereotypical saying exactly what every person and artist says, but it knocked me out every single day. And I didn't participate much in Nantucket, like in the town itself. I was really on the outskirts, but wow, I chased sunsets. I I built a beautiful weird garden. And I studied the light like scripture. It was really holy to me. And so everything I just loved painting because it was a celebration of that.
And your works do look like celebrations.
I've been told.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, I assume a number of our listeners have not seen your paintings. So tell us, what does your art look like?
Everyone says it looks really happy. So if they walk into the studio and the commons is open, we're open studios, which was a real learning curve for me as well, because I had only painted, like a little weirdo, like upstairs in the attic all alone or on the edge of the porch, and was real weird about people saying it. So I had to get over some things to have an open studio and have like free range people wandering in and out. After I got used to that, which was fairly quick, that was the resounding thing. Everybody just says, "Whoa, these are so happy." And I had to admit to myself too, as I was painting a lot more in Provincetown, that I was happy. I was just like, "Uh-oh, I think you're really happy." And I realized slowly, but like how just a sunrise emerges or something, like in that kind of a glow everywhere, that I had been so lonely, and that sure I knew Provincetown was a gay arts colony, a little bit of, and I knew I would have argued, well, I'm comfortable in my homosexuality, I'm comfortable being gay, I'm da, da, da. I don't I don't I wasn't ready for how profound it was to live in a place where every single day I can be exactly who I am.
It
And
makes a big difference.
it makes a big difference, and so, even walking here, I have, like, meaningful eye contact with so many people. Like, now I know so many people, but there are people that we still haven't don't know each other's names, but we're friends, and whenever we see each other, this guy went by on a bike, his beautiful long hair, fringe jacket, like, I don't know his name, but, like, we're excited we saw each other, and, like, that's a fucking friend, and, like, the just those things adding up every single day, it's more than an exhale. It's changed how I do everything. So it's been really beautiful. And then just the community I met at the Commons too. So I think a community, friends, just, a community of artists that I trust, that I admire, that I love, on top of just how exquisite this landscape is. And then on top of some of the ways it pushes me even when I don't want to be brave or to change some things. But it was really showing up in my paintings, and I had always painted circles. I love circles, but I was finding no other way to convey how connected I felt to the landscape and to the people and my heart than sort of a rising of circles everywhere. And they shapeshift. They can be clouds or flowers or leaves. And so they pinch hit in all different kinds of ways in my paintings. But for the most part, it's a swelling in my chest of being in love with a place and belonging.
So a lot of circles. And
Yeah.
because of that, actually, a lot of people have compared you to me.
Oh, I've
I've
heard
had a
that.
lot of
Yeah.
people saying, "You and Beth make a lot of circles. You have a lot of art. You're very similar."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not at all.
Not at all.
Not at
No.
all. But it's always a compliment because I love your colors. I love your work. And I've been hearing that from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Same. And you have a whole different color palette than I do.
Yeah.
Where do your colors come from?
What's fascinating is it's so organic. So I just start changing my palette. Like as soon as September starts sort of gently leaning into the cooler temperatures and that wonderful, indescribable smell that happens here right before autumn. It's like bayberry and some sort of a sea salt, whatever. But it changes, and I never smelled it down south. But when that starts happening, just all of a sudden, I start painting in burgundies or more mustard yellows or deep forest greens, and it's not something I'm conscious of, but it's really obvious in spring and fall that it just comes naturally to me. And I just delight in color. I delight in it, whether it's with just an outfit or something, or someone's garden, or how someone has put themselves together. I truly delight in it.
I fully understand that. I have the same unconscious process happening when the seasons change, my colors change. And then
Yeah,
somebody comes in my gallery and looks at a painting and says, "Oh, what a complete departure." And my answer is, "No, that was just painted in winter."
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just happens, but it's really fun to explore colors that just don't occur to me in other seasons.
What kind of artist are you? Are you like a strict 9 to 5 in the studio?
Mm.
Are you, whenever the inspiration hits, are you a night owl?
Wow, I've been all of them, but I think if I'm being honest right now, I have been painting more at night, but some of that has been just adjusting to things. Like the past 2 August, I'd say, I I just was say yes, Beth, to everything in August. And so I've made I've scolded myself like a champion. Don't do that again. Like don't make it so that you're just twitchy at the end of August. But I overcommitted, which also is a luxurious problem. Like I wouldn't have had, I do say thank you, Commons, because the amount of networking and just people I was able to meet and be inspired by and who are doing brave, interesting, creative, groundbreaking things. I want to show up at their things, and I'm honored if I'm asked to be a part of anything. So, anyway, some of that has been a response to just over committing. And then if I don't paint, it's like how I should feel more if I don't exercise. I start to go a little crazy. And so it just makes me feel good. It's who I am. Everything makes sense if I'm painting. Like if I'm working on something, whether or not it's good or if I have all, exciting feelings that a painter can feel, whatever, it doesn't matter. Everything makes sense. So I have to do it. I have enjoyed painting in the morning, and it just depends. Like adjusting to an open studio and sharing with other artists, had its challenging things. Everything that was challenging I'm so grateful for. I needed to know.
So let's talk about the Commons, because you've mentioned it
Yeah.
multiple times already. So you were a resident there for the full 3 years?
Yes.
That's great. And you just finished like last week, right?
Yeah, that's why I keep talking about it.
Yeah.
So forgive me, because literally my truck is all filled with my things from my studio, and I'll be transitioning to a spot at Whalers Wharf. So I'm going to be happy to see you.
Yeah, we're going to be neighbors.
Woo-hoo.
Yay.
And I have a real romantic connection to Whalers Wharf, so I'm really happy about that. But yeah, the Commons, by the time I had turned in my application, enough time had happened that I was just like, well, Beth, you didn't do a good job on that. So whatever. And so I was really shocked when I got a call to come in and interview. But from my first winter there, just, walking into the kitchen and having it be filled with what I now realize are my favorite weirdos from Provincetown, who are all in some sort of a silly workshop in like the dead of winter in January. What a gift it was to have these these placements. And I've watched a few of your shows so far, and I love Leslie and Laura. I didn't realize, like my first week at the Commons, she wanders in and we just have a conversation about color. We crack each other up, and she tells me about a painting group that's meeting. And so it was a salon group, and some of the things that happen absolutely naturally there are an absolute gift and have ended up shaping a lot of how I've done a lot of things. So I'll be grateful and probably make the Commons uncomfortable because I'll gush for the rest of my days. I'll just consider that spot, a family house on the hill, essentially.
So you said you were in a shared open studio.
Yeah.
So you were sharing with one of those studios where there's 4 artists.
Not 4, although I think there has been 4 at one time, but 2 recently.
Or you were just 2, okay.
Oh no, there was 3.
Yeah,
so
'cause I
4 of
thought
us.
there were
Yeah.
more. So how's that? I mean, I'm so used to being in my own space and I control everything. I control the sound, I control the light. How's that when you have to share that with other people?
There's some things that were essential for me to learn, and some of them are boundaries. I hear those are awesome. And also to not be so precious, because I too have been, absolutely, I need to have control of everything. I would lock my studio when I was done and whatever. And so I learned being at the Commons that if I was working on a painting, let's say that I didn't particularly like, let's say it wasn't good. Let's just go ahead and say it was ass. Let's just say it wasn't good. And if I leave that and someone comes in the next day and sees it in the open studio, guess what? Nothing bad happens. Like, it's okay. Like, seems like such a silly little thing, but there's some significant letting go things that were really, really helpful. I also learned just by cues with like listening to myself or being in my own body, when people would come in, if I liked a painting I was working on or if I didn't, just by simple things that I wouldn't know when I'm working all alone, when I'm just in the tunnel vision, weirdo zone, which is a beautiful place to be. Like I'm excited. Having said that, I'm excited to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell by my body language or whatever, if I open up talking to somebody, that with a disclaimer or I'm defensive, like, "Well, I'm gonna fix this," right, or if I feel myself sort of get, a little pluffed up, like, I'm like, "Oh, wow, you really like this painting." Um, and so those things have been really essential. And then just, it's really, really important to learn how to work with other human beings and just we're all so tangled and we're all to understand that we have our journals open essentially in an open studio. Like everybody is standing around the most vulnerable thing they could be doing in a way. And so to keep that in mind before ego gets anywhere, but it's for the most part, people are lovely, and if I recognize for me, I needed to be alone, I would just be an absolute ninja about it, and so some of the pivots I had to do with just being, just the space feeling compromised for me or whatever, if I wanted to be alone, um, resulted in some of my favorite things, showing up super late at night and how that felt, or what it felt like to walk home after painting something like that and be thinking about your painting, almost like a lover you had left or something. There was a romance about it and I don't know, just a innovation in certain ways that I don't think I would have been able to come into organically without at first thinking, God, is so and so in there or not? And me and Mary, she's a jeweler that I share with, and we both have our residencies have ended at the same time, and we're great friends. Being able to see a jeweler's process, so good for my painting. I didn't understand how lovely that was. They build little sculptures, these amazing little sculptures that can sometimes just fall apart, and all the equipment. There's a lot of tinker like noises that happen with a jeweler, and I got, I really learned to love those. Just felt like a bustling workspace, like it was contagious.
So I fully get what you're saying about, you love this painting, you don't love that one. Often I find the ones that I am least enthusiastic about are the ones that the public is the most enthusiastic about. So it's always a,
Isn't
a
that
bit of a
amazing?
learning process there.
Yeah.
But is there a piece that you have done recently or a project you've done recently that you're particularly proud of?
I think that in general, there will be 2 kind of answers to that. One of the things is that I realized with having enough space to work big, that I really loved, painting large abstracts, and I realized I could stay true to my color stories and everything I wanted to say with color without everything sort of being everything I'd ever thought in one painting, and I do have paintings that are sort of like that, which I'm not mad at, but it was really wonderful to be able to spread out. So I have a few that I've been really surprised about that are just big and beautiful and abstract. And those have been really speaking to people. Also, I've been on a series of just these sort of in the completely other end of the spectrum, but a really playful series of just really stylish, awkward egrets
Oh, nice.
who are uh, I'm a birder, and I became a birder, in the depths of loneliness on Nantucket in the wintertime, and it was, they if you can't not if you're awake and the migration there and just how resilient, how adaptive, and just the outfits alone that the birds wear, it made total sense that I would be a birder, but in any event, egrets I would always study, and they just seem like evolution just said, we've got other things we need to work on. You got this. We're going to leave you how you are. And so when they fly, they have to do this tuck of their neck, and they're just pretty um, awkward looking, but they're also super majestic, and they're really patient. And so I really love them as a specific kind of bird. But I'd been painting a lot of them, and something was missing, and I was really frustrated. And then in the middle of the night, fairly recently, I was like, "Oh my god, this egret needs a sweater vest. That's what's up." And as soon as I decided that, it was just like the angels sang, and the light, the whole room was bathed in light, and it was the funnest thing ever. And I think the key is fun. So I lost like a chunk of hours just being so fucking happy putting sweater vests on all these egrets, and no pants, just straight up sweater vest. And then
A
it
Winnie the Pooh situation.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. Yeah. But they're sexier, but they're also nervous. It's like each egret has a nervous gay foot, and I'll explain that when you come in at some
Yeah, I
point.
can't wait to go
Um,
see them because
but
now we'll be in the same building. I can just run
yeah,
upstairs and see what you're
yeah,
doing.
they have beautiful apartments. Like they have really, it really evolved. There's 3 of them so far, but it's been so fun making their just like they're either getting ready for something or they've just come back. But I've really had a lot of fun with them. So that's maybe I might be the only one that delights in them, but certain parts of those paintings, while I'm doing it, is the happiest I've ever been in my life. That's
Well,
not nothing.
I haven't seen them yet, and I feel happy. So
Yay. Yay. They're one woman who I really like, a new friend of mine, she looked at one and she was like, "Oh my god, that's my bisexual grandfather, Bruce, from Florida. He was so closeted, that's him." And so she told me a little bit about Bruce, and I was like, "That is Bruce." And so that one has a great title about how Bruce is, looking splendid in the morning. But they all have characteristics and have taken a life of their own. And right now, in just the climate that we're living in and everything, um, just anytime I'm caught up in a painting and like absolutely joyful about it and can picture their life and know how their apartment, every little part about it, that's essential. An escape where I don't know, where I'm reminded of what matters in a lot of ways. Because those really, the way that those engage people, we end up talking about their families and like how they feel before they are going out to do a social thing or something they're worried about or our nervous gay foot, essentially. So anyway, I can't wait to show you. They're a good time.
have you thought of writing all this down?
Um,
As you present the painting, you have all the backstory attached to it.
That was a good part about the Commons, and then what I'm sure will be another factor at Whalers Wharf. But you because you're sort of thrown into the end of the pool, you have to be able to talk about your art, and you figure out really early because of how people's body language is or how they are if you're doing a good job or not. And or sometimes you can just hear yourself, and I'll be like, Beth, God damn, what are you talking about right now? So you I've ended up better at it. And so I get to write about them about my paintings when I'm describing them on my website or on Instagram. And I really do love the poetry of describing a painting because there's so much of a poem in every single thing I paint. Everything has a story. I'm never just winging it. Even if I start out with something different, if it's a mistake, and I've just learned how to lean into the mistake and that the mistake is actually the answer. And it always turns into a story. So I get that out in different ways talking. I like to write when I'm talking about a painting, but otherwise, nah.
Well, I've done that a few times where I've had a few paintings that were inspired by songs.
Yeah, me
And
too.
in these situations, I actually wrote the song on the back of the canvas.
Nice.
And if it was in a foreign language, I translated it and maybe sometimes did a bit of an explanation. But yeah, clients like that.
Yeah, yeah. Music is it gets in your soul. And so if I'm painting right, then that painting is in my soul. Like I know how, the kitchen in one of my little cottages smells. Like when I know that amount of detail, then at least for me, I'm winning with it. And definitely music is essential. So there are song lyrics and hidden in paintings on the sides of houses. And they used to be in the titles a lot more, but I've kind of stopped that.
So as you're in transition now, you're moving from a shared space at the Commons to a new space at the Whalers Wharf.
Yeah.
Do you see your art changing? Do you see an evolution happening, or do you think we're going to be on the same track?
There's always an evolution happening, always. Um, I think I'm an Aquarius, so the part of it is an Aquarian thing, but also I'm a noticer and everything is always changing. That's some of the most beautiful parts about this landscape here, and sort of my fixation on seasons. So if I say that I'm gonna keep it like keep things, that's not true. I can't. I've tried. Like I've known. Let's say if there's response to a certain type of painting, I'm like, Beth, make some more of those paintings. Like you love groceries. Like let's come on. Let's
Food is a good
yeah,
thing.
come on, Bethy. And like if I'm not in the mood, I won't. I can't. So at some point I'll get better at that, but there's no way that they won't always evolve. But circles, I see them everywhere. They're truly meditative to paint. Like, it's a way to take a break while I'm painting without fucking up the painting, but you're still in it, but you're playing with the color. And I really enjoy just the process of taking parts of them away, adding on top of that. It's a real meditative process. And I was trying to abstractly explain to somebody about, I'd been thinking about whirling dervishes a lot as of late, and I'm not going to bore anybody with this because it's still an abstract thing that's actually spinning, unintended in my mind. But there's just something holy about the repetition of something within an action where you're being brave and vulnerable and committed. So I'll never stop circles. They allow me to do that and to really play. If I'm really digging a color, I can have a circle that has all the cousins of that color invited as well too. So that's really fun too.
You have circles, but you also have a lot of scenes that have sort of imagined Provincetown scenes.
Yeah,
There's houses, there's
yeah.
seashores, but they're not actual existing places.
They're not. They're a fusion of some of my favorite places.
Mhm.
One of the things that I have learned now and I'm real excited about is if I start to fall in love with a little village that I'm painting, I need to put the brush down and leave the room right away. Because I'll get too precious about it, or I'll add more and more and more. But yeah, it's just they're just love songs to my favorite spots around here. And when I look at some of my paintings, I'm like, that's that building in Wellfleet you love. That's that little place in Truro. So it's, none of them are architecturally sound. Like if anybody was going to be on a deck at house party at one of these dreamscapes by the sea, everybody would perish. But I do like to have just dreamy villages where me and all my friends live in our weirdo houses.
Now, to be very business centered, as an artist, how do you promote yourself?
It's been really lucky. There've been a lot of social media is one of the ones it has served me really, really well. In the current climate though, it's been hard. Sometimes I just don't feel like making I don't feel like promoting my paint, or there's been some.
I don't feel like opening the social media to see all that's going to be scrolling in front of me.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then also just feeling some like, "Oh, are you gonna talk about a joyful thing?" Like, just having a real conflict internally with yeah, I think you get it. If you're not in an active coma right now, the amount of compartmentalization and things we have to do, or at least I have to do for social media is not normal. It's insane. Having said that, that's exactly how a lot of people see my work. Also, just the free range bands of lovely people that have come through my former studio, and then just I show up for people's events. I really love it. But there's such a thriving community here that if you show up, you are going to, by natural law, rub into something wherein your unique thing is exactly what they're looking for, or you just connect with someone. So it's a really lovely blend of that here. But social media is really important with that. But also, I could see a place with several groups happening here. I don't know. I really enjoy the fact that I can honestly say there's so much in person networking happening here all the time.
And there's multiple opportunities here to show your work and put
Yeah.
them in front of people, not
Yeah.
necessarily just, in your studio or, solo shows. There's all these membership shows at the museum.
Yeah.
The Commons keeps on having these invitational shows.
Yeah.
And for example, last winter I was showing at Tin Pan Alley, a restaurant
Oh,
here
yeah.
in town, and they said, "We're looking for someone to
Yeah.
take over after you." And I said, "Well, call Beth."
Yeah.
And
And
you
it
had
was
a
great.
great run
I
there.
had a great run there. And that was, I'm still really grateful to Jack and them. It was really phenomenal. And then someone saw a painting of mine there, and I ended up getting there were several other different things where connections happened with that. And something else where the library picked my painting for their book fair this year. And that was really fun to,
It was the Provincetown Book Festival, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you were the logo. You were the
Yeah, yeah, and then the ferry people liked that painting, so that's gonna be at the ferry things too, so that's exciting. And I've also been in the Winter Windows program that Mark started, and
Margaret. So
yeah,
for our listeners who might not know, we have a lot of businesses in town that close in the winter, and it used to be that these businesses would just put up brown paper in their windows,
yeah,
and that's sad.
yeah,
You
and Mark
just
called
have
it out. He was like, "We're an artist."
Margaret said,
Yeah,
"No, we have so many artists in
yeah,
town. We have to put art in
yeah.
windows." So your art was in the windows of
Wired Puppy, it was, I
yeah.
believe, or that building right after it sold, and then, a sunglasses place last year.
Mhm.
It was all over, but what a treat, like, to
Yeah.
be walking down the street, all bundled up and look over to your right and see your painting in the window.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And now if you go up and down the streets of Provincetown, we have more than a dozen. There's
Oh, yeah.
quite a few businesses that
Yeah.
have the art in the windows now instead of ugly brown paper.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's some that I've been in love with already for a while, and then artists I've never seen before. So it's really, really perfect.
Now that you are in a period of transition and you're about to get a new studio, do you have long-term goals you want to share with us?
As long as I'm staying really energetic and full of wonder with whatever I'm working on, things tend to work out really well. And that sounds kind of, I don't know. I don't care how it sounds. It is that's the way things have worked here for me. I also, yes and no, and it just depends on the season. But for right now, the other day I was out to dinner and someone just came up to the table and was like, "I don't want to interrupt you, but your painting is in our kitchen, and my husband had bought your painting, and it makes our lives better every single day." And I just wanted to say hi and meet you, and that blew me away. And so, as far as goals, like that's it. That's all I would ever want. And so, I, for right now, like to keep it simple and true and full of just being a really happy, active member of this community where I can make people's lives better in some way. And that I've ended up having some paintings donated to several things and what have you. But I believe that, if there's a larger anything, that will happen as it should from just so many beautifully blooming things here, which all year there are things happening. And it's supposed to be the slow season now, and it kind of isn't. But just like you described it perfectly, it's such a treat seeing when I go out, seeing who's out. It's my favorites, and you can't turn around without bumping into someone doing something brave and worthwhile and interesting and talented. So as long as I'm awake and active and excited about things, we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it every single day. At some point, every single day, I'm amazed here.
That's what keeps us here.
Yeah, yeah, and the people.
Mhm.
And bumping into you in Stop and Shop resulted in this. Like that's as Provincetown as it gets, right there.
Yeah, see, we were doing groceries in the off
Yeah,
season.
yeah. See, yeah.
Are you showing your work in any galleries in town or anywhere else? Are you seeking that?
Um, I have a couple of crushes on a couple of galleries.
Well, here's your chance to do your pitch.
Yeah,
I
right.
know they're listening.
Yeah, I've enjoyed making Gallery Stroll part of my Friday and going around some places, and I've been really fortunate to be all over town. But I'm just sort of watching and really enjoying meeting new people and just seeing what I think. But it'll be nice to be right there on Commercial Street, and I think that there are a couple places that would probably make a lot of sense. But also, I have some people that I love very much around town who are just independent and do really really well, and so it just remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's something that artists they sort of have to try it on and see what fits. If
Yeah,
they prefer representing themselves,
right.
if they prefer cooperating with the gallery and
Yeah,
working in that way, there's different models, but not everybody fits in all the models.
right.
Yeah. If you were able to go back to see young Beth, who has not been to Provincetown yet, and she's about to enter in this new life as an artist, would you have some advice for you? Would you have some counsel for young you?
Oh wow. I don't know that I would because every single thing I did or didn't do, and failure or smashing success, like they all were essential. So maybe just to be like, I don't know how I could have sped up my, because I really absolutely have bloomed since I finally, got rid of alcohol. That's a major thing. So 11 years away from that, often too, when people talk about my paintings and, like, how happy, like, it's funny because 'cause I'll hear people be like, Your paintings are so they're just so happy," and, like, a little bit of disdain, and I wanna stop and be like, "Oh, trust me, it was a road to get there. Like, I didn't just, like, make a quick hard right on to Happy Avenue." But anyway, everything was essential to getting to where I am. I think I would just tell myself to be gentle. We just don't know what is happening in between people's ears and what they're going through, and to be that to be more graceful with myself, more compassion, and, trusting my instincts because they were right, and I trust my instincts now. I know that I'm actually, riding really hard for myself, so I trust me, but there was some earlier times where I was 100% right, but didn't trust me. So,
If somebody wants to see your work, where do they go?
they would go to my Instagram, which is Nantucket Edge, at Nantucket Edge, and that was started from when I had my shack out there at the edge of the island. And my website is on there, which is Beth Faherty Artist. And I need to update my website. I just paint so much.
We always do.
That's one of the things that is like a real plus for working with a gallery because I just want to paint. I don't want to mess around with any. I just want to bring my paintings and say, here they are. I love you. Bye.
Hmm.
And so, but in any event, my newest work and things that I play around with are always on Instagram. But I don't even know if right now my latest things are available for on my website yet. But they will be. But they'll be in my studio, so that's like right by the theater. So,
The cinema.
yep.
Yeah.
So second floor, right to the right of
237 Commercial Street, the
That's
Whalers
right.
Wharf.
That's right. I'm excited.
Yeah,
And just how the light filters in upstairs. And, if you walk downstairs, there's just a piano in the sand. Come on.
it's true.
It's just like, it's a
Somebody
fairy
has
tale.
left a decomposing stand-up piano in the sand on the
Mhm.
beach right by the Whalers Wharf.
And it's so, it's beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to this season.
Well, I'm also looking forward to having you nearby.
Me too.
Yeah.
We can actually realize those coffees now.
Well, in the summer I'm working in my gallery and I can't really leave often, but we can, have breakfast, something
Totally.
like that.
Totally.
Well, it's been an absolute delight to have you here,
Thank you.
to get to know you a lot better. I mean, I didn't know most of these stories.
Mm.
I'm very happy you joined us for our Artist at Work series. You can learn more about the artists that are making Provincetown special at this moment right now. So thank you, Beth, and thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.